But with great power comes something else. What happens when we change the code not to heal, but to control? What if your child could be perfect? No disease, no flaws. Taller, smarter, stronger, better.
I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger, I'm smarter, I'm better. I am better!
But what happens when everyone chooses the same kind of perfect? What happens to uniqueness? To imperfection? The very thing that makes us human. Changing people is not the only use of this knowledge. There is more. The dire wolf, extinct for thousands of years, using fragments of fossil DNA, scientists cloned an ancient predator. They brought it back.
13,000 years after the last dire wolf walked the earth, scientists say they've now brought them back. Here's our chief national correspondent back up and with the video tonight.
Tonight, a howl 13,000 years in the making. In a first for science, biotech company Colossal Biosciences says it brought the extinct direwolf back to life, a species that hasn't walked the earth since the Stone Age.
Lyme disease is on the rise. It's being spread by a growing tick population and has become a particular problem for the Massachusetts islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. But an MIT scientist thinks he might have a long-term solution, and it comes from where you might least expect it.
On the island of Nantucket, people walk their dogs and runners weave their way down the Trail of Ram pasture. It's a popular spot, and it's easy to see why. Hundreds of acres of untouched conservation land surround the trails. It's a peaceful setting where deer are often spotted in the early hours grazing. It's also lush territory for ticks. The northern part of the U.S. has seen a significant spike, and MIT scientist Kevin Esvelt says the solution may start with one of the main culprits, mice.
Mice are a problem. You might say, what does mice have to do with Lyme disease? Well, ticks aren't born infected. They get infected when they bite an infected host, which is usually a mouse.
Esvelt's solution? Genetically engineer them so that their immune response prevents them from being infected.
So our idea is, well, how about we take mice that are naturally immune, identify the DNA in their genomes that makes them immune, and then take the best such elements and put them all into one engineered strain of mice.
He and his team would do this using gene editing technology. But to really make a difference, it's going to take a lot of mice.
So we're talking maybe up to 100,000 mice on each island.
The idea is that when the genetically engineered mice mate with the native mice, their offspring would also be immune to Lyme disease. Over time, this would reduce the prevalence of the disease.
Over the past decade, I've been at the forefront of developing a revolutionary technology called CRISPR that has come from the study of how bacteria fight viral infection. CRISPR is amazing because it allows us to precisely edit the DNA in living organisms, including in people and plants. But the next world-changing advance with CRISPR will actually come from using it in a way that will allow us to go to the next level by editing genes beyond just in individual organisms. We now have the ability to use CRISPR to edit entire populations. But with CRISPR, we have a tool that works like a scalpel. It allows us to target a particular gene in a particular kind of cell. Our team has identified a promising link between a molecule produced in the gut microbiome and asthma development. With precision microbiome editing, we could offer a child at risk for asthma a non-invasive therapy that would eliminate asthma-inducing molecules, changing her life trajectory. I think it's fascinating that we can now use CRISPR to edit the same tiny organisms that gave us CRISPR. In doing so, we're collaborating with the ultimate partner, nature. Together, we can use CRISPR-powered precision microbiome editing to build a more resilient future for all of us.
Anthony here, and last week we had the team behind the Glowing Plant Kickstarter in to talk a bit about their project. And one of the questions you guys asked the most was, can we also alter the DNA of an animal to make it glow? Oh yes, we can, and we have. Basically, there's this peptide called green fluorescent protein, or GFP. It comes from a jellyfish. Scientists have isolated it, pulled it out of the jellyfish, and begun putting it in all kinds of wacky places. And by places, I mean living things. Most recently, a team at the Animal Reproduction Institute of Uruguay made some glowing sheep. They've got GFP all up in their tissue, and they glow under ultraviolet light. Why? Well, no reason really. Honestly, these sheep are more like a scientific proof of concept, but there are other animals that have it for reasons, like these marmosets. Japanese scientists used a virus to put the jellyfish gene directly into monkeys as embryos, and then the virus mutated their DNA. They actually pass the GFP peptide onto their offsprings. GFP is also used in cats to do AIDS research. See, monkeys and cats can both contract a form of AIDS. Both species have these proteins that are called restriction factors that normally defend against viruses, but they're ineffective against HIV or FIV, which is the cat version. So scientists had this crazy idea. What would happen if you gave a cat a monkey's restriction factors? Would a monkey protein fight the feline version of AIDS? So to find out, they made some monkey proteins glow with GFP, and then they put them into some cat eggs, put the cat eggs into a cat womb. Cat gives birth to glowing kittens, and the scientists can actually watch the glowing proteins and see if they were effectively fighting off the virus. And they were. In all these cases, it doesn't seem like the GFP causes any change to the animal other than the glow, which, yeah, it's a pretty noticeable change, but in terms of health and behavior, they seem to be exactly the same. You know, I was thinking, so far, all of these animals were created for scientific purposes. I have to wonder, now that somebody's kickstarted a glowing plant for everyone, how long until we see designer glowing pets?
Just like that, you can edit the human genome. But while the edits may be quick, their changes can last for centuries. Especially if you're editing the DNA in an embryo. Embryos start out with a single cell that eventually replicates into millions and then trillions more. So if you alter that initial cell first, you're manipulating the ingredients for every cell that follows later in life. And those same altered cells can be passed on from generation to generation. That's one reason why most experiments on human embryos haven't left the lab. That is, except for the work of Dr. He Jiankui. He claims to have used CRISPR to target and knock out the CCR5 gene in human embryos, which is linked to HIV infection. And then he did something that shocked the scientific community. He implanted the embryos into several women, one of whom gave birth to genetically modified twins. Resistance to HIV aside, most scientists say the procedure was too risky. At least 2 studies suggest that edited cells might actually trigger cancer. And another found that CRISPR can accidentally take aim at healthy DNA. So while CRISPR could make us immune to disease, who knows what else we might get on the side.
There are few names that stand out quite like Elon Musk. The Tesla and SpaceX mogul has been shaping the tech world for years. But now, he's pushing the boundaries with his latest project, Grok 4. But here's the thing. While most AI companies are aiming for neutrality and objectivity, Musk's latest AI development might just be more personal than anyone anticipated. Today, we're diving into Grok 4's controversial new twist, and how Musk's personal influence might be shaping the future of AI more than you think.
This is the smartest AI in the world. Like Grok 4 is postgraduate, like PhD level in everything. Better than PhD, but like most PhDs would fail. With respect to academic questions, Grok 4 is better than PhD level in every subject, no exceptions. Like, I guess the first part is like, in terms of the training, we're going from Grok 2 to Grok 3 to Grok 4. We've essentially increased the training by an order of magnitude in each case. So it's 100 times more training than Grok 2, and that's only going to increase. So it's frankly, I mean, I don't know, in some ways a little terrifying. It has not yet invented new technologies or discovered new physics, but that is just a matter of time. I think it may discover new technologies as soon as later this year, and I would be shocked if it has not done so next year.